Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to be selecting someone to make my co-host to help me admit people into the call because while I'm teaching, I can't be admitting people. All right. So first of all, I would like to know how many of you here have ever coded with Python before? How many of you know what Python is, or you've ever used any programming language at all to work? Signify in the chat section, please. All right, for those of you who have used Python before, what did you use Python for? Was it like a simple class project or something very serious? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know if it's from here. The network is shaking.
All right.
The network is not good.
I saw someone say they've used Python for NLP before. That's quite interesting. Hmm. So a good number of you have like experience with Python. You know how to use Python. You use Python for whether data analysis, NLP tasks. Someone said they know OOP. That's good. All right. So this class is going to be like a basic introduction or reiteration for those of you who already know how to use Python. And I mentioned earlier that I was going to share a link to a Notion file for you guys to work with. So I was going to drop that link on the GC right now because I'd like for some of you who haven't used Python before to go through this. Now, my Google Colab environment. Backend. The person that said they've used Python for backend, which of the backend stacks did you use? Django or Flask? Web scraping, interesting. Django, that's nice. Flask, that's nice. All right. All right. Let me for a second there. Let's get somewhere. All right. I've just shared with you guys the link to the Notion file. So you're going to be using that file to try and learn some basics. Now, for those of you who haven't used Python before, I have like several resources like textbooks or whatever that I can share with you for you to use and learn. So if you haven't used Python before, kindly maybe state on the group chat, yeah, so I can just drop the textbook there. It's a very, very useful textbook. I used it myself personally to get to where I am. I mean, I learned how to do some basic stuff like Python loops, working with arrays, functions, how to create my own personal functions, Lambda function, and all of that. All right, I'll be sharing the book with you guys shortly after this call. If I do that now, I mean, all right. So, first of all, for those of you who have worked with Python, would you mind unmuting yourself and describing your experience for me or for the whole class? Really, one person should just unmute yourself and explain what they did with Python, how it was. Tiny T, you said you used Python for, you've used Django before. Would you mind telling us what your project is all about?
I use Django for back end of like I try to do a company website where people can reach out to the organization and see they will see the organization's portfolio and be able to reach out and communicate with the organization.
Oh, that's nice. So you built a company portfolio website,
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yes.
Who else would like to share with us, please?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Michael. I'm student of Yaba College of Technology. I study computer science. So I use Python for simple class projects like attendance system, maybe grading system, doing a lower than simple this class project, just mini class project. So I will use raw Python and I don't use any framework.
Oh, you use raw Python. You use any libraries or anything?
Yeah, we don't use any library, just raw Python.
All right.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So my name is Madekunle Tosin. So I used Python to build a machine learning model to it's actually for classification to predict whether a patient has heart disease or not.
That's nice. What was your model's accuracy score?
88.5.
All right. Did you try maybe pushing it up to like 90 or something like that? Did you try? What did you try?
Yes, I tried some other I um I tried some other models too, like um Grid Search and some other ones. I even I even try using um what is it called now? This oh my god. Um what's the name of this model? I've forgotten it presently now. So I tried using it, but it's still, despite all the hyperparameters and all and the improvement, it's still giving me 88. But there was one model I tried. It even went back to 85.3. I was surprised.
Well, that was one of the things that happened. My best guess as of now is that maybe your data set was too small, so the models weren't learning enough for them to
Yeah,
be able to make
yes,
them to generalize. Yeah, generalize that's the term. All right, so thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Now I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what we're going to be doing here. I've prepared this notion. Um, what's it called? I've prepared this notion work that you guys are going to be going through to learn. It was actually a 30 days challenge that we used in my school, right? For the people of the data science group, you see things like getting introduced to Python, how to install Python. Then you see libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. NumPy is a number package offered by Python, right? That's used to perform several kinds of mathematical operations on arrays and various data types. Then you have Pandas, which is for reading in data from CSVs or various other kind of data forms to your notebook. You have Matplotlib for making your visualizations, such as your bar plots and other kind of plots. Now, before we get to this point, I would be sharing the textbook for those of you who have no experience with Python to kind of catch up, because you have to understand the basics of Python, like control statements, functions, what are functions, all those kind of basics. Once you get an idea of what they are doing, you can now move into working with libraries for data analysis and eventually building your own machine learning models. When I first started, I mean, this is kind of my history. When I first started, right, I unfortunately there was no one there to tell me, okay, this is what to do, this is how to go about it. So I was kind of lost. I tried front end initially. It wasn't working out well for me because I don't know, it's not my spirit to design things. And I didn't know about UI UX guys who make life so much easier for you know everybody else. So you just create the design for you, and all you have to do is implement. So besides that, then I tried mobile dev. When I was working with Java, and Java was not working back with me. It was a terrible experience till I finally discovered Python. Used several resources online. I was able to learn, build several projects that I currently have. Some of them are hosted. I'll share one of my projects with you guys, which is my latest. It is my final year project, actually, document summarizing system. So, and it can also detect the language. So if you type in text, right, and you summarize, it will give you a summary, and it will detect the language of the text that you put in. So whether you put in text in French, English, Spanish, Yoruba, it will tell you, okay, this is the language. So these are these and more are kind of what you guys are going to learn here by God's grace by the time we are done. I mean, even if you're not able to complete much in these 3 weeks, there's still resources. You can always reach out to me. I've dropped my Twitter link for you guys, so you can all follow me, follow back, can connect on LinkedIn, text me at any single point in time, and I'll reply to you, tell you, yeah, this is itself. Look at this, summarize this. You see the language detected. Then there's something called in which you're going to look into later on. This is part of NLP. You can also
Wait,
download your summary.
are you sharing your screen?
We can't see
Because
your
I can't see
Oh
it.
my god. I'm so sorry. I thought I was sharing my screen. Imagine.
Like, the way some of us are beginners, boss.
Yeah, no problem. You're
Wait
going
on,
to
sir.
get to advanced level. Everyone was a beginner before they got somewhere. All right, so this is the system. Basically, what I was telling you is that you can detect the language. You see that this, when you read it yourself, you can tell, okay, yes, this is English. Of course, we know that, I mean, front end is not what was used to achieve this. It was obviously a machine learning algorithm that was trained with text from different languages. And then that algorithm was able to generalize and give the correct predictions for any other text that is entered into it at all. See stuff like this is English. Then potential topics is another aspect of ML, NLP, known as topic modeling, where you're able to tell the topic from a given piece of text. So you're obviously going to you're going to look into that as well. We're going to give you like a brief intro and provide materials where you're going to use to read up more and then know how to do these things for yourself. This is the summary. Yeah, you can download the summary. Play, pause. How many of you know what APIs are? You know what an API is? Let me see you raise up your hand. Let me see something. All right, someone should tell me what they know an API to be. Real one, tell me what is an API? Tell us rather. Real one, you're one of you raising up your hand.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So from my understanding of it, I think it means application
Sure,
programming.
can you speak louder?
From my understanding of it, yeah, I can't remember what it means, but I think it means application programming interface. And it's used, I use it for extraction of data from the internet. Like, around back to original understanding of
All right, yeah.
it. Like that,
API stands for application programming interface. You're right, it stands for application programming interface. And APIs can be used for several things. There are several APIs that you can use for different things, whether be it data extraction or any kind of processing you need. But can you mute and can you mute yourself back? Thank you. So like I was saying, APIs can be used for several things, any possible thing you want. I like to test you guys. Someone should tell me. Let me write this very basic piece of code. So this is something known as Google Colab. I'm sure most of us know what Google Colab is. It's a cloud IDE basically that helps you to run your code with Google's storage, RAM, disk space, everything. Now, what do I do? All right. I'll tell me what the result of this is going to be. No need to raise your hand up, just unmute yourself and speak out to see something.
Error.
Yes, it's going to throw an error. Why will it throw an error, do?
Because to call the call function, the print function, there should be like a quote for it so that it gives out the statement you have put in the quote. But here there is no like quote to show that.
What language are you familiar with?
Because
Oh, sorry, this is variable. The variable is
looking
not
at the
properly
code,
represented.
Yeah, looking at the code, what's wrong with the code? Or what's
The
right
variable
with the
is
code?
wrong.
okay, looking at the code,
not
and the
very
variable
wrong.
you
Wrong.
declared was in lowercase or true. But the
Yeah,
one you called in the print function, you have uppercase at
in it.
RER. So you have a type error there. Or is it name error or
Yeah,
type error?
exactly. Let's see the specific error is going to throw for us. Variable error, I guess. Yeah, name error. Yeah. Meaning that we made use of the wrong name. You cannot declare one thing and then call another. That is an abomination. But that's something that happens almost every day in code. When you have ambiguous names, like imagine having a variable called number, and then you now still have another variable somewhere called number, maybe -1 or _1. Then by mistake you happen to want to use number, but you enter number. So like that will give you something known as a logic error, because yes, fine, the code is working, but it is not giving you the results that you want. Let's say I wanted 30 now, but I'm putting this. There's something wrong with the logic. I'm not getting the right um results that I require. So we're also going to be looking into errors and how to detect, how to understand what an error message means, so you can easily identify the error that you're facing. Yeah. What else? Where's this? Does anybody have any questions? Any single questions at all? If you have any questions, just speak. Any questions? How many of you have seen the link on the group chat to this?
Someone has his hand. Someone has his hand raised. Then,
All right,
by the
please
way,
go on and
please
ask your
check the
question.
chat. There's a link. There's a link I sent on the chat for everyone, please.
This link, in case you're wondering. Any questions? All right, so no questions. Let me go back and reiterate on this Notion file. Spoken about NumPy, spoken about matplotlib. Now we're also going to be looking at data cleaning. Data cleaning is one of the most important, if not the most important thing when it comes to data analysis and machine learning, because the quality of your machine learning model, your machine learning model is only as good as the data that was used to train it. When it comes to cleaning data, right, there are several operations that are carried out on data. Sometimes you can get data in like the wrong format, or there's duplicate data, or some places are not, they have no value at all. Let's say you have a group of people, right, and you're trying to predict, okay, who's going to, let's say you have a group of people's mid-semester scores, and you have their exam scores, and you're trying to for over like first year and second year, and you're trying to predict what their results are going to be for the third year, right? You need the complete data. Like, you cannot have some people having some results complete and some results incomplete. That's going to be inconsistent. So you either fill up those missing data with the average score, or the minimum or the maximum score. Depends on what you're trying to achieve. We're also going to look at Kaggle, which is a very, very reliable data source for we data scientists. Kaggle is an online repo for data, basically. It's not just an online repo. You can also code there. It has a kind of interface like this, like the Google Colab provides for us to code and run your code and debug. And people can also come and look into your code, clone your code, and make advances on such code. Aside for cleaning your data, also going to look at, yeah, I was talking about getting your data from Kaggle. Steps involved in machine learning models. There are two broad categories of machine learning models. Now there's machine learning and there's deep learning. So there are two broad categories of machine learning models, which is classification algorithms and regression algorithms. Classification algorithms are used to classify data into categories, just as the name implies. If there is, you're building a model, right, that can detect or predict if somebody is maybe sick or not sick, or does this person have malaria or one other disease, right? That's a classification model, because it is giving a definite output, like, okay, based on these symptoms, this person has this and not this. Now, regression is when you're trying to predict continuous values, like value or the price of a house, price of a boat, price of anything at all. Those are the two broad categories, classification and regression. We're going to look into both of them. We're going to build models. You see here your task one, introduction to supervised learning, classification algorithms. Now, sometimes when you train your model, right, your model can come out with a score of 90%. But let's say your minimum expected
Hi, are you talking?
When I feel
Einstein,
it, can't hear you.
can anyone hear him?
No, we
No,
can't.
no, we can't hear you.
Can't hear.
So can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah, we
can hear
can
you.
now.
Maybe
Can
All
hear
the
right,
you.
network
sorry.
is bad. But I'm facing this network issues here.
Wow. But you guys can hear me now, right?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear
Yes,
you.
yes.
Yes, yes,
All
we
right,
can.
so yeah. Can you guys tell me the last thing you heard? Because I want to know where exactly I got cut off.
We're talking about this in regression that is predicting like changes in inflation of house prices, something like that.
Okay, yeah. Regression and classification models, algorithms rather. Regression is for kind of prediction of continuous values like numbers, like prices, all those kind of things, or like stocks. Yeah, the kind of I don't know what they call it, but like when you should enter the market and those kind of things. Yeah, basically for those of you who trade stocks and you understand all that kind of stuff. So that's where regression comes into play. And now after looking at the classification and regression models, we're going to be looking at ways to improve our model, because sometimes, right, you can have a model, you want such model to perform better than it is already performing. Like let's say your model is 90% is correct 90% of the time, but that you can see that that remaining 10%, right, is actually a very, very great percentage, because I mean 10 times out of your 100 times, right, it is going to give you the wrong answer. So you need to try and improve your model. Now, in order to improve your model, there are multiple things you can do. First off is you can either get more data, which is not always very easy, because if you had such data in the first place, you wouldn't work with half of the data. You obviously work with every single thing. Second is to clean to reprocess your data. You can do some feature engineering, either by cutting off some invalid or some unimportant data points or variables after your exploratory data analysis. And then the third and the final method is going to be through hyperparameter tuning. There's something we call hyperparameter tuning in data science, right? Your hyperparameters are like the characteristics of your model that you define. You can adjust them by yourself. But then parameters themselves are determined by the model. So we have parameters and we have hyperparameters. You can tune this hyperparameter and methods for that, which you guys are going to look into. We're going to discuss as well. Let's try and pimp up our models, make them perform much better than they already do. After all of that, we're also going to look at something called version control. Some of you might be familiar with version control. People who have used Git or GitHub here, you know what version control is. So we're going to look into version control, why it is necessary, why you should always, commit changes to your code base and not just work without making any commits to your code base. Lastly, we're going to be looking into backend web development with Flask. You're going to know why you should consider using Flask at all. Why is it not showing? Um, Something's supposed to be showing here. Well, I'll correct that. But like Flask it is one of the backend frameworks, right, that Python provides for web development. So you finish training your model, right? You as a data scientist, you can see that, okay, wow, this is a very amazing model because it is scoring 92%. So 92% of the time it is giving the correct output. But your users don't know what 92% is. They don't want to see your visualizations. They want to see that, okay, yes, they don't want to see code. They just want to interact with the AI itself and see that, wow, this is working. Because I mean, like this project, now, if I show somebody what the model looks like. That okay, yes, the model will tell you it is English, blah 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 blah. They'll be like, I mean, yeah, sure, it works, but like, how do I really interact with this? So you're going to learn how to build simple web apps of your own that users can interact with, and you can integrate your models to these web apps for them to work with. And you also look into hosting your projects on cloud services such as AWS, Heroku, on Render, and several other major platforms for hosting projects. So that's basically all we're going to be covering here. And if we're not able to complete any of those, the resources are still going to be available for you. These are long-term resources. Nobody's going to collect them back from you. Nobody's revoking access to them. So you can always go back, reiterate on any single thing you didn't understand first time, and life goes on. So I'd like for you guys to give me any single questions you have at all regarding any of the things that I've spoken about. If you're not clear on anything, or if you would like us to also treat some certain aspects, so you just let me know your take on this. If you have any questions, please, you can unmute yourself and ask. All right, real one. Can you answer? Can you ask your question rather?
Hello, hello, please. I don't know if you can hear me.
Sorry, what you see? Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Ask your
Hello.
question.
Oh, okay, cool. I would like to ask you, like, if this national list is the only stuff we'll be touching, like in
Sorry,
the
speak
AI
louder,
aspect,
please.
because I actually join this class because of AI. Are we going to be doing stuff like the six steps of getting to clean your model, like evaluation, getting your data, training the model, trying to like compare and choose and other stuff like that. Are we going to be touching those aspects? That's my question. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the majority of what we're doing. I mean, that's the bulk of what I spoke about. If you see, someone said, "Can this slide be sent?" Because I can't grab the information from the beginning. I've already sent the link to the group chat, so you can check there. If you look here, right, every single thing here has to do with. You see, where's this part? Look at introduction to supervised learning. This thing called supervised learning, right, is what you're asking me about. If we're going to be
Hmm?
building models, supervised learning, we're going to. Can you see? Can you hear me?
Afáàmì àwọn lọ tagolí mi.
Should I continue? Can you hear me? All right, continue. Someone said they can hear me. So yes, basically what I was saying is that all of this information here is going to teach you exactly how to build your model, how to evaluate your model, how to adjust your model in order to improve its performance. So we're going to be looking into each and every single thing here. Do you guys understand me? I've answered the question for the person who asked me the question. Is that okay?
Thanks.
All right, you're welcome. Does anyone have any other question? Someone is asking if we're going to be doing API and deployment. Yes, we are. We're going to be looking into deploying your machine learning models to web apps. So there's going to be like, for those of you who want to, or who already have knowledge of front end development with HTML and CSS, you're going to work with HTML and CSS and Flask. For those of you who do not want to learn HTML, CSS, there are libraries that come with Python, right? That you can use to code out an entire website for yourself. So you just on the same page where your model is, you can code out an entire website and then host your project. You get. Someone asked if we're going to be going into deep learning as artificial neural networks, convolutional neural nets, and recurrent neural nets. No, because um for the scope of this boot camp, that exceeds our scope for this boot camp. So we're not going to be going into anything deep learning. Deep learning is quite advanced, and it is not it is not going to be it's not something that you might necessarily understand if it is being taught here. I mean, it's not something I can, because there's a lot of math that goes behind deep learning, things like matrix multiplication, understanding what bias is, understanding what's weights and backward and forward propagation. So there's a lot that's going to deep learning, which we're not going to be covering here. We're going to be looking into machine learning alone and simple machine learning algorithms such as decision trees, SVMs, XGBoosts, and various other kind of machine learning algorithms. Someone asks, is there going to be a link or book for those who are still beginners in Python? Yes, there is going to be. I'm going to be sending a book immediately after this call. There's a book I personally used to learn Python, and that is the book I keep on sending to every single person, because trust me, that book is more than useful. Like, I don't even know why the book doesn't cost 1 million, because that book it is very, very good. So I'm going to be sharing it with you guys, because with that book alone, you're going to go from zero to hero, quite literally. You're going to learn how to code perfectly. And it is so well explained with examples and easy tasks for you to do, that when you're doing it, you're going to be so happy, and you're going to want to do more. You're never going to want to stop when you're supposed to stop, if you set a stopping time for yourself. So with that book, right, there's this thing there's where I look at things, right. I'd rather use books to learn than YouTube videos, because there's something called tutorial hell, which is when you're stuck watching one video and next video, one video, next video, like that, like that, like that. And you can only do what is in the video while you watch the video. But outside of that video, right, you can't really do what you've learned. You might not really remember, because you were not internalizing it. You didn't make any mistakes while writing the code. So you were able to debug on your own. So yeah, basically this book is going to help you to have such, tacit knowledge of what this programming is all about. You're going to internalize it for yourself how you wish to do so. Someone's asking about SQL and MongoDB. Well, this is also beyond the scope of this bootcamp. I mean, it is not advanced at all, but for the sake of this bootcamp, we're looking into training your machine learning models, evaluating and deploying. So anything outside those three, that is basically the scope of our bootcamp. So anything beyond that, whether it is more intense or less intense, is currently out of our scope. Yeah, you're definitely getting the book this evening. You're getting the book. And I promise you're going to enjoy it, because the book is really, really nice. Really nice. Does anyone have any other questions? I don't see any other questions. All right, so yeah, when I was talking about maths, I was actually referring to deep learning, But that doesn't mean that there's no maths in machine learning. There's maths, but the maths isn't as advanced as the maths you're going to face in deep learning. In when it comes to machine learning, there are algorithms such as, for one, there's naive Bayes algorithm. Now there's a Bayesian theory, right, where this results are determined based on, what's this called again? What's this word? Well, there's a Bayesian theory you're going to understand. So when you understand such basic theories like Bayesian theory or the what's this other decision tree, yeah, there's like some basic maths that goes behind these models. You need to at least know you need to know what's going on, because for you to determine the best model, right, for a job, you have to understand the kind of math that is being applied to the data. This is where data visualization comes in, right? You can make plots to see if, okay, oh, this data looks like this, so I should use a naive bias classifier, or this looks like this, so I should use a decision tree or a KNN. So we're going to be looking into some very basic maths, very, very basic. So there's nothing that you should feel scared about. Yes, if you use Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, whatever you use, it is very fun. You can even use Google Colab, whatever you use. If you want to use Visual Studio Code, but my personal advice, right, is for you to use Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code is a very, very nice IDE. I mean, I use VSC for a lot of my projects. This is the project I was just showing you guys now, the document summarizer. You see how VS Code is able to help me organize every single thing. This is quite nice to work with. So VSC, and there's like a link to download Python and every single thing on your PC. It is here. Let me show you. This is first installing Python and Anaconda on your system. So every single resource you need, right, for this entire bootcamp is provided for you. You're not lacking in any single way. There are videos that explain how to install these things, and then there are links to download the exe files in case maybe you're unable to download it from the videos and all that kind of stuff. While starting, it is, I won't call it mandatory, right? Someone is asking, as a data scientist, it's mandatory you know data scrapping, data analysis, data visualization, and the rest? Question mark. Now, starting out as a data scientist, right? There are certain things you must know, because I mean, if you don't know them, then well, don't know. So those things include data analysis and data visualization. For at least for starters, you need to know how to analyze data. You need to know how to detect patterns and trends in your data. You need to know how to visualize the data for yourself and for your audience. And then some other things include how to train your models. But on the long run, you can then start learning data scraping and the rest of them. Those are like additions. They are things that make you um they give you the upper hand. Like if you're learning how to drive, right? For starters, you just need to know how to apply your brake, how to put your throttle and all this kind of stuff. But if you're advanced, like you're an advanced driver, you're not learning how to drift, all those kind of things. So like that's, you can see that it's not necessary to know how to drift for a driver, but you need to know how to apply your brake and your throttle. So that's how this data visualization and data analysis is compared to data scraping. The book is going to provide every single thing for you, yes. And if you have like extra requirements or questions, you can always ask on the group chat, or you can reach out to me personally. Say, what are the basic tools you need? Advise us, have as data science and machine learning students, what are things you will probably need for this bootcamp? Yes, thank God. Just as I said this, someone also asked for it. So I don't know, I must have answered your question. Yeah, every single thing you need, right, is here for you. So like every material you need, you can always gain access to it. There's every single this is like a step by step, the procedural thing I will provide for you here, so you can know the basics. We're going from like level 0 to level 100 basically. That is exactly how this was designed in order to facilitate ease of learning, ease of use, anything. So does anyone have any other questions? We'll be rounding up soon. Unfortunately, my co-lead isn't here today, so we can't really do much, because what we planned to do today, right, was like a joint session where we were also planning to do like live coding session, but unfortunately he's not here. So, and he has most of the materials we needed for today, so I wasn't able to get them before. I don't know if his battery ran out or what, because he has been outside all day trying to vote. So our next session is tomorrow, right? I think we'll do Friday, Saturday, and Monday. Or was that Saturday, Sunday? So if we don't have any other questions, but I'm really not used to do, I don't remember how do I go about this. Can I just use the applications instead? When you say can I use other applications instead, what other applications do you, or what exactly are you talking about? Are you talking about Visual Studio Code? All right, thank you. Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturday. So our next session will be on Monday. By Monday, every single thing we need and my co-lead is going to be available. So we're definitely going to be having a better session than today. Sorry for this session if it is not exactly, fascinating, but Monday is going to be much better. Can I like using, someone say PyCharm, which other environment? PyCharm. I don't know if PyCharm supports IPYMB files. Well, because look at this now. Let me show you guys my repository. Look at this. Show you one of my projects. So you see why we require an IPYMB file for data analysis. Yeah, let's do fake news detection. All right. So this is the basic structure of a data science project. It goes from loading in your data. Yeah, I imported all the libraries I require for this project. It goes from loading your data to analyzing your data. You see, I'm dropping out unnecessary columns because these columns are not necessary for us to detect if news is fake or not. You don't need something like the index. Now, for example, I dropped the title and the subject because I was looking at various other angles of how to analyze this news data. Now you see the visualizations rather that I was talking about, right? Simple bar plots and various other kinds of views that you can perform. Then here's formatting data. This is part of the EDA step as exploratory data analysis. I'm trying to understand what makes fake news and what makes true news. So you see how the code is divided by into sections, right? Where we have the first cell, then the second cell. For someone using PyCharm, I don't know if PyCharm provides you with the IPYMB, which is interactive Python notebook file format. So I don't know if you're going to be able to run sections upon sections however you wish. Normally in a Python script, it's just every single thing is just straight like that, blah. So what we need is something that'll help you to run code by blocks, block by block. Because a regular Python file looks like this. Let me show you. This is a regular Python file. You see how every single thing is run in the same place. There's nothing like separating anything at all. So what we're working with is something that supports an IPYMB file format. What was the question I answered? Oh, you have Bible study sessions. I'm sorry if it is clashing with your Bible study. Sorry about that. But yeah, we are going to have recorded videos. So yes, you can have access to the session even after we're done. This can have me absent links for learning on my own time. Yeah, I've sent the link and I'm still going to send the textbook and I'm still going to tag it in case you do not know that okay, this is it, this is that. Yeah, PyCharm. Okay, that's nice. PyCharm supports iPrime house. But I think it's just only really ones. Only really ones. Well, that's why I always advise people to use Visual Studio Code. So if you can get VSC easily, then just get it, honestly. Hello, we only have classes 3 times a week. That means we should only be able to cover about 9 days. Please, how would the self-paced learning distinct with the curriculum? We'll figure this out. We will figure this out. No, like I said before, right? Um you can always reach out to me, right? Through my Twitter or my WhatsApp, however you wish. This is my Twitter. So however you wish to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me to find out and then ask me any single questions that you want to ask me. I'll be glad to answer you at any given point in time. So we'll have a GitHub account. Can I be able to use can I be able to use it for any other project? Yeah, if you see my GitHub, right? I don't have just one project. I have several projects, so I'm using this for several projects. It doesn't have to be just a single project. I have several repos over here. So yes, you can use your GitHub for more than one project. It doesn't there's no limit to how many projects you can have. Look at this, several projects. So there's no limits to it. My LinkedIn handle. Let me quickly open up LinkedIn. There's my LinkedIn. So you can connect with me rather, and I'll connect back. Sorry, my network is not very strong too. I don't know why. So yeah, Einstein, Abraham, simply that's my LinkedIn. So once you just connect with me, I see it, I accept. We are connected. You can reach out at any point in time. But like I'm more active on my Twitter. So if you need instant replies and you don't have my phone number, just go straight to my Twitter. You always reach me. Does anybody have any other questions so we can round up for today and pick up where we stopped on Monday for a much better session? Do you recommend it to tutorial for learning how to use GitHub? I tried before and it was honestly when I started trying to learn how to use GitHub, right? It was extremely terrible for me. I didn't even know what was going on. So how I got to learn how to use GitHub or Git is I got the Git desktop version. Now the desktop version provides you with a GUI. If I still have that, yes, it provides you with a GUI that you can use to simply do every single functionality. So you know how when you're driving cars, right? If you want to start with a manual car, it's almost like killing yourself. So if you start with an automatic car, look at this now. This is a repo. I changed the position so it can't really be found right now. But every single thing you want to do, like git add, git clone, git every single thing, it has every single thing for you. So you can do them with ease, even branching and all of that. So when you now get used to this, right, you can now move on to git bash and do your terminal code. But still on that, right, I provided a link here for a very nice tutorial video that I watched. Where's that version control? Yeah. So this playlist, right, I believe it will help you a lot to learn Git faster. So with the use of this material, right, day 28, you will be able to learn how to use Git very easily. there are like 5 parts to this video, so and they are all very short and well explained, so you can pick up bits quickly. And also text you WhatsApp here. You should all have access to my number. I'm a member of the group, so yeah, I'm the one who sent this. You can all reach out to me to recommend Twitter. Yeah. My Twitter is that's my Twitter, so follow back. Could you please drop all the means of reaching out? WhatsApp group. All right, I'll still do this again on the WhatsApp group chats. Yeah. Yeah, you see, that's the thing about this, right? Some people prefer Git bash. Some people prefer terminal operations. That's why some people even use Linux over like something like Windows or GUI applications. So it depends on you. It's your personal preference. Whatever works for you, then fine, you can use it and you'll be happy. I learned Git from documentation. I still feel it's the best way to learn for real. Me personally, I didn't even know that um back when I was learning how to use Git, right? I thought everything was best to learn with videos. So I didn't even look at the documentation. But if you say this, then I'll look into it. If it is very, very nice, I think I've even seen Git documentation before. It's actually quite nice. So I might drop that link for everybody else to use. And please, everybody, let's fill the attendance, to capture the fact that we're here. I'm not hearing, please, it's just me. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
We can hear you.
All right, thank God. That's perfect. So unfortunately, Blessing, I think it's just you. But I hope you can hear me now, though.
I can hear you.
All right, that's good. That's good. So the documents I'll look into this. Thank you very much for sharing that. I mean, we learn every day. I'm so-called teacher here, but I'm still learning. So yeah, everybody, thank you for the information. Like, a lot of things I've left out, whatever. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. A lot of things are left out in videos. That's why, back to what I said, right? I'd rather you use the textbook to learn how to code Python. So any single thing you're doing, right? If you look into a documentation, like whenever you need to learn anything, your first, the first thing you should approach is a book, a documentation, something written, rather than and most of these libraries, right, and products, they usually have their own documentation. So it's always best for you to look into theirs first. If theirs is looking too confusing, check somewhere else for another write-up. If the write-up is still confusing, you go to a video. After looking at the video, you might get like a general understanding of the concept, and you go back to those documentations to read up and be like, okay, yeah, so this is what they meant here. So yeah, that's true. A lot is left out when it comes to these videos. You can hear now, that's good. Yes, I'm definitely sending the book to you guys like immediately after this call. I like that book, and I must share it with every single person that I interact with that wants to learn Python. So I will send the book with you guys.
Okay, thank you.
I've already recommended one which I'll share. Yeah, you're welcome. I've already recommended one which I'm sharing with you guys this evening. So there's no need for you to even stress trying to go and buy the book or look somewhere for the book. I'll give it to you simply later today. If we don't have any other questions, so the link to the form is here. Let me just copy and paste that again. Here's the attendance again in case you didn't see. So please check the text section and fill it up. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Do we have any other questions, or we can call it a day and I'll share the materials with you guys? after the book, right, you what I like to do, right? Some people after reading books like that, after getting a basic understanding, they go for certifications. Like the S doesn't even end. I'm not a huge fan of gaining every single certification on earth without proper knowledge. So from this book, right, you can now start building projects. The more projects you have in your portfolio, the more you know, and the more people be like, okay, yes, this person actually knows something. So the more projects you have, once you're done with this book, my advice to you is to jump into building projects. You might think, okay, I just know small, I might not really know how to build this project. That is a big lie. Once you start a project, you must find a way to complete it. Like there are resources online, so you can always go to places like Stack Overflow. You can go to people's articles to go and read on how to do this, how to do that, whatever problem you're having. Like if you look at this now, let me show you guys a very quick example. I run this code, right? I know there's going to be an error, but let's say I don't know what this does, and I go online, I'm like, copy and paste. I want to find out the solution for this. You're going to find a solution every single place you go online. Some of them might look confusing, right? Some of them might not be confusing. So whatever best place where you find your solution, you go for it. There are several resources to solutions. So once you start building a project, right, you must run into one or two errors. It is a must. Even me till today, I'm doing something. If the most basic thing I can even forget, I'm like, wow, how do you even do this again? So yes, there's continuous learning. Once you just start, the zeal to complete is going to be there. But once you never start, right, you're going to forever tell yourself, nah, I'm not good enough for this yet, so I'm not going to do this. So once you're done with this book, and my advice for you is to go straight into building projects. That's the next step, honestly. Yeah, well, I'm going to give you access to the recorded session as soon as I lay my hands on it, because yeah, share access to you guys. You're welcome. Just build. That's the best thing you can ever do to yourself once you get any kind of knowledge. You're welcome. I'm glad you think it's wonderful. That is really, really nice. So we're going to be coming to a conclusion here now, and I'm going to be sharing the material with you guys. So if you haven't filled the form yet, the attendance form, right, you're encouraged to do so before you leave the call. So yeah, that'll be all for today. Thank you guys for coming, and see you again on Monday and every other day, where we shall learn a lot more
Thank
and
you so
interact.
much, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So have a nice day, guys. For those asking for the attendance form again, I just resent it. If you've signed the attendance, you can leave the call now.
You signed the same form yesterday. Did you fill the form yesterday? Abdulaziz. But But you didn't have a call yesterday, though. So how come you feel it? Or there was a challenge. There was a challenge in your group. Okay, I'll get back to you on that. No, Allah. But just feel the day one as it is now, Sha. We'll figure out the better structure to keep that.